The Early Weigh-In podcast is back tomorrow. Got it going down in Chicago. UFC 319. Huge fight, man, for the middleweight strap. Dricus du Plessis looking to make another title defense, taking on Khamzat Chimaev, man, the long-awaited, the what people think is the future champ of the middleweight division. Super stoked for this fight. We got the debut of Aaron Pico in the co-main event. What was once like a 15-fight card, lost a couple fights here around the weigh-ins, now down to still 12. Super excited about that, man. I won't waste any time. Let's recap how we finished up at the Apex last week. Able to put together another little streak for myself, man. Took 2 dog shots, hit Andre Fili at plus 210. Thought it was a 30-27, man. Looked really good. Roman Dolidze, on the other hand, did not. Fluffy, ran right through the guy, man. Dog walked him. And then Elijah Smith, Kazama under 1.5. I wanted to actually double down on that around fight time because the line didn't move on me like I thought it was going to. And, Elijah Smith, put him through the canvas, man. One of the nastiest knockouts of the year. I did cash on the Hernandez Dolidze over 2.5, which, man, there at the end of round 2, that was close to a stoppage. So we're lucky to get on that one. I had a parlay, John Matsumoto, Jocelyn Edwards. Jocelyn Edwards comes through with ease. I do think Matsumoto won the fight, but man, was not on the right side of the line. You were 100%, and had it gone your way, I couldn't have been upset. So maybe wish you would have cashed you a big one there. Probably deserved it, but let you figure out, talk about how you finished up. I think it ended up being 3.92 units for me, man. So decent night for myself.
Yeah, almost the exact opposite, a clean sweep at -4 units. I was on the Miles John side at plus 215. I thought he won it, but obviously some built-in bias for me. Then the Rafael Sakara fight versus Julius Walker. He lost pretty convincingly, but in the third round when he did have Julius Walker on skates, I was like, man, this is kind of what I want out of a plus 525. So another one where it was like, I'm not too upset with myself. I am a little bit upset with myself with the Christian Rodriguez pick. The size was obviously an issue. I think if they're the same size, the fight might have gone a little bit different, but it was just a lot for him to try and overcome. None of those ended up hitting, and -4 units. So definitely trying to avoid that this week. With some pretty good fights on this card, man.
Yeah.
I think from top to bottom, we're gonna be getting some really good matchups and hopefully some money-making opportunities. I'm not sure if that's going to be this very first fight we're going to break down. We have 2 Ultimate Fighter guys right here. Alibi Iridis versus Joseph Morales. Full disclosure, I didn't break down this fight too much going into tape. So from what I did see, Alibi looks pretty decent everywhere. You see this from a lot of Kazakhstani fighters. He's 10-0. He's undefeated. He does throw some spinning attacks, and I think that in his future UFC fights that might get him in trouble. But I think the pressure that he's going to be bringing in against Joseph Morales here is probably going to be enough to get the nod, which is what we see reflected on the line. I think Iridis is like a -460, -500. And while I think Joseph Morales is a decent fighter, I do think that he has some holes in his game, and he doesn't really like that forward pressure. So if Morales isn't able to take him down and get on top and hold him down there, which isn't really, what most flyweights can do, then I think that Alibi Iridis is going to be able to win a pretty clean decision here. I've got him to stay undefeated. How do you feel about this one?
So I did watch Tough this season, but didn't really watch the show. I literally would watch it on Wednesday and just fast forward to the fights. I was kind of surprised when I saw the line. I'm not gonna lie, especially as high as Chael Sonnen is on Joseph Morales. He's the one that he thought was the clear winner, the first pick. Dude's got the UFC experience, and so I was kind of a bit, shocked to see this line. But man, I did go back and watch his last fight, the one that got him into the finals here. And round 3 looked really, really bad. His gas tank didn't look good. Maybe it was the repeated weight cuts and things. I don't know. But the gas tank in round 3 didn't look good. When he's getting touched up to the body, he didn't like that. And you touched on the big thing is Iridis's pace is ridiculous. This dude comes forward and really makes you work. His striking is way more versatile than Joseph Morales. And, you and I kind of feel the same about flyweights, and that's a division where, you can land takedowns, but it's kind of hard to hold guys down consistently. And I do think the gas tank, from what I've seen, favors Alibi. But, man, I don't know. Part of my gut feeling thinks this line's just really wide. I don't know if I do any more digging into it. I'll take Alibi, but again, man, I don't know. I just kind of felt like Joseph all season was the best flyweight on the show, and I don't want maybe just one fight to change my mind. So I don't know. To me, it's clearly dog or pass if I'm on a side, but I'll side with Alibi just because I haven't done too much studying on it myself. Moving down or staying in the same weight class, Cannonier Silva taking on Deone Barbosa. Barbosa actually has a win over Cannonier Silva a few years back, but yet now Cannonier Silva is the big favorite here, and I kind of think she should be the favorite. I think she got a little bit more well-rounded arsenal to her. If this is a striking fight, I do favor the Cannonier Silva side, and neither one of them have the best gas tank, but I kind of feel like Cannonier is more alive to wind up on top if this fight does slip into later rounds and they do start to gas a little bit. I kind of feel like at this stage in their career, Cannonier Silva's probably going to get Susman back over her, man.
Yeah, so I tend to agree, but I do think that the fight's a little bit closer than the line suggests. I think the fight goes to decision. So just because of that, I think it's going to be close. If Deone Barbosa winds up on top, I do think that she could steal some rounds. Mm-hmm. And I think that she's a little bit better grappler, a little bit more physical. But Cannonier Silva does have the power to kind of win some of the moments on the feet. And, if Silva does wind up on top herself, she's pretty good at landing some damaging shots. I agree that I think it's probably Silva's fight to get back. I know that their first fight was really close, but this is just not a spot where I would lay the juice on Silva. And if I was going to play this, I'd probably go dog or pass here with Barbosa, but probably a layoff spot for me entirely. Silva's going to be the pick, but I will not be betting that. Moving up to the lightweight division, Edson Barbosa taking on Drakkar Klose. Both these guys later on in their career, I think Drakkar Klose is kind of getting looked past because of his loss to Jose Alvarez in his last fight, or Joel Alvarez in his last fight. Mm-hmm. And, I think that that's not necessarily warranted. Joel Alvarez is one of the biggest guys at 155. He can't even make the weight class anymore. And, Edson Barbosa, he's struggled with wrestlers in his past. Every single time that he fights, he's now going back up to 155 against Drakkar Klose, who's been pretty consistent with what he, is able to bring to the table every single fight. What I do worry about is Klose is kind of a plotting 155er. He does kind of telegraph his entries, and he's very down the middle. And obviously, the Joel Alvarez was able to land a knee up the middle. That's kind of Edson Barbosa's bread and butter. So I do see the potential for a knockout from the Barbosa side. But, I think more often than not, we see Drakkar Klose just kind of neutralize the offense of Barbosa and kind of win a gross decision here. So another dog or pass spot for me, but I'm probably going to have to side with Klose here. If Klose doesn't dog out a decision, then I think he gets knocked out cold. But I've got to go with my gut here, and I'm going to be taking the Klose side.
Yeah, we kind of figured, especially at Edson's age, that the move back to 155 was inevitable. He looked rough getting down to 145 those couple times that he did. I think neither one of them have the best chin, to be honest. I think they both can be finished, but I'm kind of with you, man. I think Drakkar Klose can kind of dog out a grindy fight, can put Barbosa on the back foot, put him against the cage. And, yeah, I kind of feel like, especially at this stage in his career, going back to 155, juice on Edson Barbosa, I mean, you just got dog walked by Lerone Murphy. That's rare, Kate. Or Lerone Murphy usually is not out there hurting guys and running through them, and he's having close split decision fights, and that one was nowhere close to a split. Man, I don't know. It kind of felt like it might be the tail end of Edson Barbosa. All the wars, the career full of wars and knockouts, might be catching up to him. So I agree with you. This one's clearly dogger pass for myself as well. So I'm on the Drakkar Close side, man. Moving on up, Alexander Hernandez, Chase Hooper staying at 155. Alexander Hernandez is one of those guys that's in a tough spot, man, because I think at 155 he's a bit too small, but it seems like that cut to 145 is too bad on him and really drains his cardio. I still think that he has a striking advantage here. Can probably hurt the lead leg of Chase Hooper. Is way more explosive than Chase Hooper, and so just like looking at this fight on paper, when I saw the line, I was like, this is clearly a Hernandez dog or pass spot. But I started looking at the record earlier today, sitting in the airport, and man, there's guys. I know Bill Algeo was the one I was going to mention, but Billy Quarantillo, Bill Algeo, Damon Jackson, like there's been long, lanky guys grappling before and beat him, man. And so I don't know. One feels like they've, kind of hit the pinnacle of their career, and one looks to me like he's growing into his body and getting better each time he steps out in the octagon. So not as eager to fade Chase Hooper now as I was earlier in the week. I do think maybe minus 330 is a bit crazy, but I'm on the Hooper side, man. And I didn't think I'd find myself on that side as the week started.
In those Bill Algeo fights, and I forget the other one that you said, but he was either a slight favorite or they were pick 'em odds. Yeah. I feel like at this price tag, it's kind of forcing my hand here. You get a plus 280 on somebody who I'm almost positive is going to win round one. And then, if he is able to conserve his energy, Chase Hooper isn't that great of a wrestler. So if he can't find the respect on the feet, I think that Hernandez might have some success warding off some of those wrestling attempts. It will be a sketchy third round, no matter how you draw it up. But if I can guarantee at least one round and, Chase Hooper not having the best, most physical wrestling, I feel like I got to go Hernandez here, and the line just keeps getting better. So plus 280 is enough for me to take at least a little stab. I'm not really sure how much I want to go on it. But, I think I got to – truth be told, I think that Chase Hooper has kind of been overpriced since his win over Vladislav Borashev, who we know isn't that great. And I think that Alexander Hernandez has more to offer than Borashev at this point in his career. So give me Alexander Hernandez here at plus 280. Like I said, just kind of forcing my hand here. It's not a spot that I love, but I think that he is definitely the side here.
Yeah, 100%.
Moving on to the strawweight division, we have Jessica Andrade taking on Lupi Godinez. Tough one, man. Let's see the odds real quick. So about pick'ems, this is about the line that I would be comfortable playing Lupi Godinez here. Striker versus grappler match. Lupi has a knack for making fights way too close, getting beat up on the feet and not really following through with her game plan. But I certainly think she has the tools to negate the power shots of Andrade. And at this point in Andrade's career, I'm not really sure which fighter's showing up. There is a few times where she's come out here and just not really looked like she wanted to have war necessarily, especially if somebody makes her work. And I feel like Lupi's the exact fighter to do that. So as this line closes in closer to pick'ems, it's tough not to be on the Lupi Godinez side here, because I feel like Jessica Andrade is kind of banking on having one or two moments in a round to win on the judges' scorecards or finding that knockout blow. And Lupi Godinez is notoriously tough. So give me Lupi Godinez here. I think she's the better all-around MMA fighter, and at this point in her career, I think it's kind of a steal to get her at near pick'ems. So I hope people continue to bet Jessica Andrade, because then I'd be a little more comfortable laying minus 110 on Lupi Godinez than the minus 175 that she opened up at. May
possibly think our first disagreement here, man. I think I'm on the Jessica Andrade side, and I kind of feel good about it. Truth be told, I don't think Loopy's got good wrestling, but I don't think Loopy has the physicality of a lot of these girls who have been able to wrestle Jessica Andrade. I don't think she has the submission ability or the control of any of these girls. I mean, like when you look at who Jessica's lost to in the last 5 years, it's Wei Lee, champ, Rose, champ, Valentina, champ, Aaron Blanchfield, probably a future champ, Yan Xiaonan, title challenger, Tatiana Suarez, title challenger, Natalia Silva, Jasmine Jastovicius, probably future title challengers. And I don't know, man. Like, these are girls who were way faster, just in every aspect of the game, pretty much more skilled than Jessica Andrade. And I just don't see that about Loopy, man. I don't think she has the control. I don't think she has the boxing. She's small. She has to get on the inside if she's wanting to land her boxing. And I think that gives Jessica the ability to just get her game going. And so Loopy's got to go out here and put on a real wrestling clinic, or I think she's liable to get tagged and hurt. And so, first disagreement of the night, man. Jessica Andrade side. I hate that I was in Texas all week and missed the line to be able to bet her, because it does seem like a pretty popular dog play, which I'm not a fan of. But I'm on the Jessica Andrade side, man. So plus 120, give it to me. Moving up to 185, Gerald Meerschaert taking on Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. So I was looking at a parlay earlier, just because I've been so busy with work and on a trip this week that I haven't really got a chance to look at anything. I think this fight, truth be told, should be lined like probably close to minus 400. Doesn't go the distance. I don't think it goes the distance, but about 20% of the time. I think a lot of the time Mikhail Oleksiejczuk comes out here and just walks Gerald Meerschaert down, lands body shots, lands the boxing, is just way faster and way more durable, and puts him away early, man. But Mikhail has zero grappling and not the best cardio, and Gerald's made a living off of capitalizing on those two very things. And so I think the finishing upside on both sides through the roof here. Super confident saying that I don't think this fight goes to the decision. And fuck, man, it's hard for me to pick against Mikhail just because of the big finishing upside early. So I do think that's the side that you're going to get a pick on me from. But I think Gerald Meerschaert is an excellent live betting opportunity this week. And so won't have any action pre-fight besides maybe a parlay of doesn't go the distance. But if I see the cardio slipping, I'll be ready to live bet Gerald this week.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that the Gerald Meerschaert submission line is enough for me to take the stab on. It's plus 450. Yeah. It's kind of like when Paul Craig fights. If you give me Paul Craig by submission over plus 400, how wrong could you be, man? Mikhail Oleksiejczuk has shown those holes in his game before, and Gerald Meerschaert's better than some of the guys that have submitted him. So, give me Gerald Meerschaert by submission. Very likely that Mikhail goes out here with that early pressure and power and flatlines him in the first round. But anything outside of first round knockout, I think that it's a close fight, and I'd want to be holding that Meerschaert submission ticket. Yep. I don't think it goes to the judges either. Plus 450, plus 460 is enough for me. So Gerald Meerschaert by submission is the play. Let's see. Bangsiger at the 185 pound. We're staying in the middleweight division. Bangsiger Susakiro versus Eric Nolan. Look, so this line's become kind of unplayable. I think Susakiro opened at minus 350, and he's looking at minus 1,000 or more on every single book. I will tell you how I think the only playable line of this fight is. Susakiro has amazing hips. He has actually some really good grappling as well. And you can get a submission at plus 650. Eric Nolan's had a couple of run-ins with better wrestlers. And, he has been submitted before. I think that that's the only way that you could play this fight. Obviously, it's a stab because Susakirov's striking is what got him into the UFC. He probably knocks him out, but I think that there's a good chance that we see Eric Nolan start taking some desperation shots, and I would not be surprised at all if Susakiro finds his first submission win.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time. I saw it on the regional scene. He has it in the back pocket. He's Russian. He's long. And this is a short notice fight for Eric Nolan. I think that the submission prop plus 650 is live as could be. So that's, the only way I think that you could play this fight.
I mean, any method of finish at plus 650 when the guy is minus 1,000, I think holds value. I have not done any tape study on Eric Nolan this week whatsoever. But from what I saw Tuesday night, that was one of the more impressive victories on the Contender Series that I've seen in a minute. And it's not even the knockout. Like, that was crazy impressive to me. But when dude had him up against the fence, like pressuring Susakiro, and the way he was able to control dude's wrist and still land in the clinch, I think dude's truly on another level. I mean, I don't think we've ever seen anybody fight this quick of a turnaround in the UFC. I think what Hamzat and Lupi had like the two fastest on a week or something, and now we got a guy fighting on Tuesday and again on Saturday. I think the UFC knows what they're doing here. He's the prelim main event and shit, man. So I think the dude's the truth, and I think they brought in somebody who's game to get in there, but is going to get finished on live TV, and Susakiro is going to make a name for himself. So plus 650 sub, I dig it. That's the only way you can really play this fight, and I agree. Main card, man, Tim Elliott taking on Kai Asakura. Tim Elliott, man, veteran of the game, been around the block, fought all the best in the world, but been out for a while now, dealt with some injuries. And this kind of feels like, they brought Kai Asakura over, immediately gave him a title shot, didn't work out for him. It kind of feels like, we need to get this guy back on track, get him a win, get him a big name, but somebody who hasn't fought in a minute. And if Tim doesn't wrestle here, I think he's fucked. He has not looked as fast as he used to be. His wrestling, like the flexibility, the limberness, I mean, everything for Tim at his age, flyweight, not very good, man. So I think even for a guy who historically had great cardio, I mean, even the last couple of fights, his cardio hadn't looked great, man. So I think this is Kai Asakura all day. So much better striker, way faster, and might get Tim out of there, but probably not. It's flyweights. I just feel like this is Kai's fight pretty easy. No interest on the dog here.
I mean, I think that there's honestly a possibility that Kai Asakura just isn't as good as everybody was hoping he was going to be. This is a risen fighter out of Japan, and I think that a lot of people have really high expectations for him, but generally speaking, those type of guys are usually flops in the UFC. And, I think this is one of those litmus test fights where Tim Elliott, a professional, makes most of his fights close, fights super awkward, has the ability to kind of negate some of the power shots that are coming his way from Asakura. Because, again, I'm just not convinced that Asakura is the best fighter. So I'm eager to see how he performs against somebody who, has been around the block, like Tim Elliott has. But it's a layoff fight, maybe even a fade fight for me. Like I wouldn't be surprised if I found myself on Tim Elliott. It's just tough to find, or it's just tough to want to bet him at this point in his career. But I am eager to see how Asakura does against somebody like Tim here. So this is a layoff spot, see how good Asakura actually is, and then move forward. Like I was pretty heavy against him whenever he fought Pantoja. The other time that he's fought a UFC caliber competition in COP, he also gets finished in the second round. So yeah, let's see how good he actually is here. I don't really think that the minus 320s or more is really warranted yet, though. So yeah, I'll pick Asakura for just the pick, but I will not be betting him at all. Moving up to the middleweight division, Jared Cannonier taking on Michael Venom Paige. I think that for 3 rounds, Michael Venom Page's speed is going to be tough for Jared Cannonier to catch up with, especially at 41 years old.
Yeah.
We're kind of starting to see him slow down a little bit. I think Gregory Rodriguez was a really favorable matchup for him, especially the fact that he got 5 rounds to make something happen. If this fight stays on the feet, I think that Paige is just going to be too quick for him. But it is going to be a game of cat and mouse. Cannonier packs a really hard punch. If he does catch Michael Paige, like, he could definitely flatline him. And then if Cannonier does start to mix in the wrestling, which we've seen him go to in the past few fights, I think that that's how he gets this the cleanest win possible for him. That being said, I am on the Michael Venom Page side here. I think that more often than not, he's able to kind of avoid the power shots of Cannonier, get the bigger moments on the feet, and win a 30-27, 29-28. I'm not really comfortable laying that price minus 200 on somebody who I think has one path to victory. So Page is the pick, but I won't be playing him this week.
I was hoping you'd come out here and advocate for your middleweight under. Your middleweight doesn't go the distance, sitting at like plus 170. I do think it's a bit one-sided. But if Jared does get on top, I think he can land ground and pound to finish. I think he can win by submission and even catch him on the feet. But, dude, Jared Baralho, Jared Cannonier, Amavov, man, he's getting hurt, and he's getting hurt bad in these fights lately. And I think the speed difference is just going to be night and day and unreal. And, like, Michael Page lands some of the shots he landed on Char Bullet. I think Jared Cannonier goes down at 41 years old, man. I really do. I think a guy who was once historically durable is showing me clear signs that he's getting hurt. And so I'm kind of tempted on a doesn't go the distance bet here, but I'm on the Michael Venom Page side pretty clear. Also saw an interview where Jared Cannonier was like, wanting a bigger time matchup, a ranked middleweight, and here he gets someone only 2 fights into his middleweight career. He said he wasn't really keen to the matchup, and so, wonder if he's struggling to get some motivation here, things like that. So I don't know. Typically, I felt like back in the day had been screaming a Cannonier dog bet, but I'm on the Page side, and I kind of think Page might knock him out, man. Jeff Neal taking on Carlos Prates at 170. One of my favorite fights on the night. If it depends on the Jeff Neal that steps in here on Saturday night, man. I think there's a Jeff Neal that truly can compete with the best in the division, and if that Jeff Neal steps in here, this line's 100% wide. Jeff Neal's got a piston of a left hand and can crack, and I think can hurt Carlos Prates himself. And so I've been a little tempted on the Neal side. I just feel like he doesn't offer any type of big pace, any type of grappling. And so he's going to give Prates the type of fight that Prates wants. And when Prates has got a big cage and a guy who just wants to strike with him, I take that back. Jeff Neal is a pretty good left high kick, but Prates, he's mainly, hands of steel, mainly a boxer. And I just feel like that's not enough to beat Carlos Prates if Carlos Prates is on his game. So kind of feel like Carlos Prates is gonna get back on track, but I feel like this fight's just gonna be a dog fight. I feel like again gonna be one of my favorite fights on the night. Gonna go Carlos Prates decision, maybe round 3. I'm gonna go decision though. I think it's a dog fight though.
I think Prates fucks him up, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I just think stylistically, this is kind of his matchup. What gave Prates the problems in his last fight was Ian Gary's footwork. And I think
Right.
Jeff Neal's just there to be hit. He's willing to exchange on the feet. And he has a pretty, linear style of attack that I think Prates is going to figure out sooner rather than later. Those knees up the middle, the length. I think that he's got pretty much everything, and the willingness to engage and have the power. I think he probably catches Jeff Neal here. It's just as a tough matchup for Neal, and somebody who, usually Neal has the striking advantage in these matchups, and it's somebody who needs to be able to mix in some of the other aspects of MMA to give him troubles. But Prates is just a better striker, and that's Jeff Neal's bread and butter. So I think Prates fucks him up on Saturday, to be honest with you. He hasn't been finished since I guess Shavkat was able to get him in the third round, but before that, Kevin Holland caught him with like a 1-2 down the middle on the regional scene. I think Prates can put together a really similar game plan here, man. I think that he catches him and puts him away. Haven't really looked at the line there, but that's how I see this fight playing out. So, to turn a minus 245 into a, let's see, plus 110, something like that. That's how I would look to play this fight. If not that, then just taking the fight ends inside the distance at minus 155 and not getting too greedy. That's how I'd be looking to play this. I think Prates wins this inside the distance on Saturday. So that's how I'm looking at it. Moving down to the featherweight division, Lerone Murphy taking on Aaron Pico. I have tried to fade Lerone Murphy so many times, man. I don't think he's that good. And I was really looking forward to coming into this matchup, betting Aaron Pico at dog money. But that just wasn't the case, man. They've figured it out. They think that he is going to get some of that grappling going. And for 3 rounds, I think that this does favor Pico here, man. If this was a 5-round fight, I think I'd probably lean Murphy because he does do a pretty decent job of finding his way back to the feet. But I'm not like a huge fan of these like urgency of Murphy. It seems like he is constantly just figuring out ways to slightly win against his opponents. And I feel like Aaron Pico over the course of 15 minutes is going to be able to put together a game plan where he is the one edging out these close parts of each round. And I think that he gets the nod on the judges' scorecards. It's about time Lerone Murphy lost. So, I'm on the Aaron Pico side, but I'm not super happy about it because I was really looking forward to fading Lerone Murphy with an underdog, and we're just not getting it here. So give me Aaron Pico. Not stoked about it, though.
Similar to who Aaron Pico was supposed to fight before in Mavzar, Lerone Murphy's put together a massive win streak, but, like no finishes, constantly by decision, not a very exciting fighter. And when you're that type of fighter, you have to put together these massive win streaks to get anywhere close to the belt. You have to take a short notice fight like this to put yourself close to the belt. And I don't want to say he got kind of forced or talked into anything, but I do think this is the only way Lerone Murphy was going to sniff a title shot is if he takes a short notice big fight like this, puts himself on a co-main and has an upset. But I don't think he's going to do so. I don't know where he's better at all, truth be told. You did make a big point. If it was 5 rounds, way more inclined to bet Lerone Murphy at plus 150. But over 3 rounds, Pico's got the better wrestling. Pico's got the better boxing, the more knockout power. I mean, everything. Pico, he made I'm pretty sure he made his pro debut for Bellator. Yeah. Like when he got choked out by Zach Freeman when he was the minus 2,000 favorite. Like, dude was so child prodigy of MMA. Wasn't even allowed to fight amateur. Straight to Bellator for a pro debut. I'm really excited to have this guy in the UFC because, again, child prodigy of MMA, trained the boxing, has been training the wrestling his whole life, and I think he's where he belongs. He's 13-4. He's taken his bruises. He's taken his losses, not just some undefeated guy who's coming in here with no cardio, crazy amount of confidence and never lost before. And so I think Pico's coming into the UFC, honestly, at probably the right time. Better than the time Patchy Mix was coming in his 30s, better than when Patricky Pitbull, Michael Chandler are coming over. Pico's coming in the peak of his prime of his career and things. So I'm excited to have him here, man, and I hope he does big things on Saturday. I'm on the Pico side pretty clearly. And to the main event, absolutely pumped for Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. I think especially anytime you have a champion at plus money, that is always super, super tempting and probably the right side to go in most cases. It's just extremely hard for me to bet against Khamzat Chimaev when he has so much finishing upside early in the fight. I feel like he's 100% going to win round 1 and has a really good chance of winning round 2 based off the grappling alone. But, and I told you right before we started, I was okay with Khamzat minus 160, but Khamzat minus 260, if this gets into round 3, especially into the championship rounds, I haven't seen Chimaev there, and I think if we get there, he's exerted a lot of energy. And so this is a guy who, I get, looks massive, but has made 170. Like Dricus would have to cut a leg off to make 170. And so I'm curious, man, on fight night, like when Dricus is 215 pounds and they're of solid muscle with a good gas tank and seen the championship rounds. I don't know. Plus 215 seems a little bit tempting when there's some unknowns and some volatility there, but you might get an even better than plus 215 line live because I think he's clearly down probably 2 rounds in this fight. So I think it is Khamzat's time. It's hard to pick against the defending champ. I'm gonna pick Khamzat Chimaev. I think there's a chance he gets the early stoppage under a round and a half. But I kind of like GM3. I'm gonna be there with DraftKings with FanDuel open, and if we're in the championship rounds, I think Dricus du Plessis becomes a pretty good live spot.
Yeah, I mean, if you could guarantee that it gets into round 3, I think that it's going to be an amazing fight. I just don't see it getting there, man. I watched Khamzat Chimaev whenever he was fighting at 170 take on Jack Hermanson in that wrestling match. He ragdolled him, dude. I mean, if Darren Till is able to take you down multiple times with a torn ACL, Khamzat's going to ragdoll you, dude. Like, I really think that those first 10 minutes, it's kind of a stretch that it's going to get past that. I'm on the under. Like, I don't know if it's set at 2.5 or 3.5, but I'm on the under there because I do think that Khamzat wins this. I think it takes, a minus 260 and balls up 90% of his win probability just by taking the under. So, yeah, I'm on Khamzat Chimaev to win inside the distance. I think he does it in the first 2. And then I also think that there's a good shot that in those first 2 rounds, he does get tired and Dricus does make him work a little bit more than he wants to. And we see Dricus find a finish because he does pack enough power to, the first sign of Khamzat gassing out, he could capitalize on it. And I think that happens in the first 10 minutes. So, win-win by taking the under there. But I do think that Khamzat Chimaev takes Dricus du Plessis down and chokes him out relatively quickly. I don't even think it looks close and new, but I like the under more than anything here.
I like it. That's all 12 fights we got going down tomorrow. UFC 319. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Keep an eye on Twitter. We'll be throwing some bets out before fight time. Y'all like and subscribe. We'll see you next week.
Peace.